Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Susan Derwin, and I'm the director of the Interdisciplinary Humanities Center. Thank you all for coming to today's event, which is part of the Interdisciplinary Humanities Center's 2024-25 public event series, Key Passages. I'd like to acknowledge the Chumash people, who are the traditional custodians of the land upon which the Interdisciplinary Humanities Center is located, and I would like to pay respect to elders, both past and present. I also want to thank Michael Fiddler. Michael, raise your hand. A doctoral student in UCSB's linguistics department. I want to thank Michael for suggesting that we organize an event around Mr. Abduweli Ayup's work and experiences. So thank you. Mr. Ayup is a writer, activist, and linguist specializing in Uyghur language education. He was born in Kashgar, China. He studied Turkic literature at Minzu University in Beijing, and he got his master's degree at Xinjiang University. He lectured in Northwest Minzu University and Xinjiang Financial and Economic University for 9 years. He then attended the University of Kansas in Lawrence, where he earned a second master's degree in linguistics. Thereafter, he returned to China, where he opened language schools and kindergartens. In August of 2013, Mr. Ayup was detained by Chinese authorities for his efforts to promote Uyghur linguistic rights. After spending 15 months in detention, he fled with his family to Turkey, where he founded the nonprofit Uyghur Hilp. Is that how you say it? Yelp, Uyghur Yelp, an organization that investigates and documents the Uyghur plight, publishes books, supports Uyghur bookstores, kindergartens, and schools, and engages in advocacy work. Since 2019, through the International Cities of Refuge Network program, he has lived in Bergen, Norway, as a writer in residence. He has published 6 books in Uyghur and his essays and jail memoirs in Turkish. His first English language book will be published in September of 2025. And it is my unmitigated pleasure and honor to welcome Abduweli Ayup to the IHC to present his talk, When the Uyghur Language Confronts Atrocity. Thank you.
I want to start this. Okay, yeah, good. Thank you all. Thank you for inviting me here, and it's great pleasure to be at the university again, because I left the university, the American university, 13 years ago. Oh, 13 years ago. Okay. And then I had my kindergarten, and I started my advocacy, and actually I missed my schools and my major linguistics, because I started something different, linguistics rights, and so I didn't have a chance to talk and to communicate with the linguists and with the scholars. Yeah, so it's a great chance to invite me here. And another that, like, after UCSB invited me to the lecture here, and my university, the University of Kansas, invited me to give a lecture to my former university. So you lead good start, and then your invitation helped me a lot to talk to more students and more people around. Let me start my conversation with the map, because you need to you want to learn where we are talking about. Like, we are talking about northwest part of China, and the Chinese call Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Xinjiang means new colony, and then it border with Tibet and Mongolia and Russia, and the south is India. The people, about now, according to Chinese statistics, there are 12 million Uyghurs are living there, and they speak Uyghur. It's a language similar to Central Asian languages like Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and Uzbek, and also close to Turkish and Azerbaijani. But Uzbek and Kazakh, Kyrgyz are more close because we live in similar region, and the Turkish is a little bit far, but we can commute. And those are the people, like as you see, and how people look. And let's start here. I was a kid like them about maybe 40 years ago, and started my education. At the time, we were something like this, like in Chinese, it's a Honglingjing. I don't know how do we call it in English, but it's in primary school, you have to be a pioneer. And then from high school, you should be a komsomol. And the university, you have to be communist. This is the entire system from the beginning to the top. 40 years ago, I was one of them, like pioneer. But at the time, we use Uyghur as a language of instruction. And we have Chinese course, but it's one of the course. Other courses we had in Uyghur. And it changed in 2002. First, Uyghur obliterated, banned from higher education, like university and the colleges and technological schools or something like that. And then after 2009, the Uyghur language restricted in entire education system, from primary school to the university. And then, Chinese government promote 3 different types of education system for Uyghurs. One is bilingual education. It means that the students can take their courses in Uyghur and in Chinese at the same time. And another model is they take all of the courses in Chinese and they have Uyghur. And the third part, all of the courses are in Chinese. There is no Uyghur. After 2009, we have this new implementation. And then it started people's anger. Because of the guys like me, we educated in Uyghur, even from the primary school to the university. And people thought that we educated in Uyghur and nothing happened. We are working as other Chinese citizens, and why we should change our language of instruction after just this exact period of time. And then people get angry. But I didn't know that, because at the time I was in the US. I was getting my education as a linguist. And then I started to write about my opinion about this language education policy. And at the time, I promote the idea that maybe we can't defend our language and we can't advocate our language because we don't have democracy, we don't have freedom of speech. What we can do, we can have kindergarten. Because the public education, it means from primary school to the university, there is no room for Uyghur. But there is no any official restriction for kindergarten level. At the time, I promote that we should have Uyghur kindergarten. In that case, we can keep our language alive. Because I explained from linguistics point of view, if you teach your kids from 3 to 6, 3 years, teach well, they will not forget their language. That's the idea I promoted. This is the one. Another thing that, yes, having a Uyghur kindergarten, it's not illegal. It's not against the Chinese bilingual policy. it's safe room for every one of us. Because of that, people liked my idea. At the beginning, I have 30,000 followers. And then in 2011, in June, I have more than 100,000 followers. And then I think, because I promoted this idea, I should lead this movement. And I returned. My professor, Adrienne Dwyer, she was really angry with me because she offered the 3-year scholarship for PhD program. And said, you messed up. Yes, I did. And then I returned. I started my kindergarten in Kashgar and in Urumqi at the same time. And then because of the schools, not only they are teaching only Chinese, also they restrict Uyghur kids to speak at school. And then I think maybe we should do something else. Like I had a foreign language training center. In our language training center, we allow Uyghur kids to speak their own language because it's our private language center. It's not official, it's not government thing. So we allowed. And then we encourage those kids to speak language and to learn their own language, and we give them chance to express themselves in the language they are comfortable with. And because of that maybe, and because of other, our good environment, and we have more than 400 students. And our kindergarten became popular. And then suddenly, it started language protection movement. I didn't expect it. Actually, I didn't want to start this language protection movement, no. I just wanted to have my kindergarten. I just wanted to keep my language alive. But at the end, it became social movement. We posted everything online. At that time, we have 1.5 million followers. And then it became dangerous. One day, it's in August 2013, and police came, they arrested me. And interrogation mainly about, it's interesting. They always want me to admit that I'm a CIA spy. And I educated in the US because of being a spy in China and to instigate ethnic separatism and to promote independence. I didn't put that connection, but they put very interesting connection. They told me that this mother language issue led Bangladesh as an independent country. That's what you are doing. Yes, that's true. Mother language issue in 1971 led Bangladesh as an independent country. That's true. But they started from the university, Dhaka University. I started from the kindergarten, from 3 to 6 years old kids. It's, yeah. The interrogation, during the interrogation, they always forced me to confess that I'm trained in US as a CIA spy, and then another about inside separatism and terrorism, something like that. It's interesting that I said, how many students do you have? I said I had 400 students who are learning English, and about 200 who are in kindergarten. And at next day, they said that you have to confess you trained 600 terrorists. What? They are kids in primary school and they are kids in kindergarten, and how can they be a terrorist? And are you kidding? But they tried every measure to confess me. But it's amazing, a human body is really miraculous. Very miraculous. If you bear with 2 hours, it's okay. After they always beat your hands, palms, and the feet, and buttocks. And if you stay 2 hours, and then it will swollen, and you can't feel anything because of it's swollen. Yeah. So I tried hard because I don't want to tell lie. Why? I had nothing to do. I'm still thinking about that. I'm still the guy that I'm nothing to do with politics. I'm just a linguist. Because I spoke the language when I was young, and I want my kids to speak this language, and I want in the future those Uyghurs will speak their language. That's very simple. It's nothing to do with separatism or terrorism or train terrorists helping with United States. No. Until now, I can't even spell what CIA means. Not like we had a Chinese tribunal in Netherlands. They asked me, are you a CIA spy? I said, no, I'm not. And what CIA means? I didn't even tell them what CIA means. I said, it means Central Information Agency. He said, yes, you are not, because you don't even know what abbreviation of CIA. Yeah, because I got the scholarship from Ford Foundation. They put that together, that connection, and they blame me, something like that. And then I keep saying no. I didn't admit anything because I had done nothing. At the end, I have my friends outside. They did a great job, like Linguistic Society of America, SLA. Yes, Society of Linguists America. They wrote a letter to Xi Jinping, and they did good advocacy. And then my friends in Washington, they did good advocacy. At the end, Chinese government released me in 2014, November 20th. So I thought I always talk to my friends, don't be disappointed. Keep fighting. We will see some victory at the end. I am the example. Because of you guys tried so hard, because of you guys fight for my freedom, and I'm here talking to you. So silent will not solve the problem. Silent, but fighting, speaking up, will solve the problem. I'm the example. That's why I'm here. After release, let me show. This is Kashgar, the city behind. It's interesting. We have two totally different cities. One is Uyghur neighborhood. That one is Uyghur neighborhood. And I will show you the Chinese neighborhood, and it's really interesting to see. Skyscrapers we have. Oh, I couldn't find. Sorry, I couldn't find. Yeah, like this is one side of Kashgar. We have two parts of Kashgar. One is traditional Uyghur neighborhood. Another is like segregated Chinese neighborhood, and they are different. And when I released, I found that people don't even cross the street because Chinese government built wall around Uyghur neighborhood. And then if you wanna go into every neighborhood, you need to show your ID card. And then I rented my apartment in a Chinese neighborhood. And then they asked me that you can't live here because of your criminal. You have a criminal record. And where should I live? They said, because my residency belongs to Chinese province, because I worked there as a professor for 9 years. And then they asked me to return to Lanzhou. And when I went to Lanzhou, they said, because of you born in Xinjiang, you born in Uyghur region, you have to return to your place where you born. And then I have no place to live. And then at that time, there is a government delegation. They want to invest Turkey. They want to have a Chinese medicine hospital in Turkey. They want a translator. And one of my friends, he helped me to find a job as an interpreter. And the guy helped me. He hired me as a translator. And I came to Turkey in 2015, August 25th. And then since then I stayed in Turkey. But the problem is, the guy who hired me as a translator, who helped me to out, he got arrested and sentenced 2 years prevention of death in 2018. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, he sentenced life imprisonment. Like 2 years prevention of death, it means life imprisonment. They don't execute in 2 years. After 2 years, it became life imprisonment. He is a PhD in medicine, and he was at that time the leader of Xinjiang Medical University. So he helped me, but he paid the price. Then I left, and then what I have learned? I have learned something new. Yeah, this way, no, that way. No, this is something different. We have a lot of things to show, so let me move a little bit quick. Yeah, this one, yes. In 2017, in 2016, September, Uyghur language banned totally in public education, public administration, everywhere. And then those teachers became prison guards. Those are the Uyghur teachers who were teachers before, very experienced. Now they became prison guards. This is the picture my friends leaked me out. Yeah, they are the teachers. And this is the second one. And those are the students. Like, what happened to those? Like, there are different statistics, but up to 3 million people being arrested. And what happened to their kids? Their kids are in boarding school and militarized boarding school. Look at those are soldiers. And teachers become prison guard, and students become a student in Chinese boarding school. It is really a dangerous one, because I have seen 4 Uyghur kids in Turkey. They stayed in boarding school 2 years, and when they were in school, one is 9, another is 11, and when they came back, one is 11, another is like 13, and another 2, like 6 and 9. Like 4 of them lost their language. I met them in 2022 in Turkey, and they lost their language. They couldn't communicate with their family because of they stayed in Chinese boarding school for 2 years. In 2 years, they lost their language. And like the boarding school is militarized because like every rule, just like the military rule. And they stay at school for a year, and they can, like, if their family members outside, they can visit them once a month. But they can't visit them face to face. They can see them from the monitor. They can see them, they can talk to them from the monitor. Yeah. This, from 4 Uyghur kids I interviewed, I learned that this boarding school is really effective one. Like, it will make your language lose really, really quickly. Like from the kids, like 4, he stayed 2 years, and then another is 9, he stayed 2 years. Like 4 of them lost their language just in 2 years in Chinese boarding school. So it is really a dangerous one. And, but we are doing good. How? We are having Uyghur language schools around the world. We have schools in the US. For example, we have schools in Los Angeles, and we have schools in Washington, D.C., and in Houston, Texas, and in Turkey, and in Europe. So we are trying to keep our language alive through Sunday schools. And I compiled textbooks. I published 9 books. 6 of them are textbooks. And we have more than 3,000 kids are now in different online schools and physical schools. And we are trying hard to keep our language alive. But it is hard. It's challenging because of Chinese government use their family members inside of China, press them not to send their kids to Uyghur school. Because of everyone here in the US or in Europe, we have all our family members in China, so people afraid because they don't want their family members persecuted. So we face challenges, but we still keep working. And I hope we will keep our language alive at the end, because I believe and nothing doesn't change. Everything will change. I believe people will die. Xi Jinping will die at the end, just like Hitler did, just like Franco and other dictators died at the end. And I'm hopeful because of we have this phenomenon, and we have right people like you to listen to us, to stand with us. So, but we have long way to go like this, but we will win at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I have a question, to know your attitude toward, the approach of the Western, especially Western academia, toward the language discrimination in countries like China. Do you feel that this, this approach, strengthened after 2009, you mentioned that, or it's at the beginning it's the same. I want to know how politics has influence on the attitude of the Western academia toward the Uyghur language in the China. Thank you.
Yes, you are right. In 2009, we have a big protest erupted in Urumqi. It's because of, at that time, Chinese government started labor transfer program, forced labor transfer program. They transferred Uyghur laborers from Uyghur region to Chinese provinces. But one is people don't like to leave their own land. And another that if you force someone to do something, they feel angry. It create a lot of resentment and anger among the Uyghur community. They always feel that why we have to work very low price with Chinese factory, because they can't compare, because they have discriminated. Like Chinese worker, they get more, and the Uyghur workers, they get less. This comparison make them angry. And then there's a conflict happened, and two Uyghurs died, and then like 36 Uyghurs injured. And then people started to shout, like, why you guys send Uyghurs to Chinese province, let them work, and then at the end they died. And then people went to People's Square, where Chinese government building located, and they asked that what happened. And then one lady being shot at the point, and then it started riot. And then mass arrest started. Like next day, according to people who were there, they said more than 10,000 people arrested because they cut down electricity, they cut down the internet, and then mass arrest started. I think, like from my point of view, this protest changed, like accelerated Chinese policy against Uyghur people. Because at the time, most of them are university students. Most of them, high school students and university students. Because those conflict and death uploaded the internet, and the guys who can reach them, who are educated guys among the Uyghurs, young university students. And then, because of this protest, the policy changed, totally changed. Like before, we have room to keep our Uyghur language at school. But after 2009, as I told you, that even kids cannot speak Uyghur at school. And even Chinese government built boarding school at that time, forced Uyghur kids to live in boarding school. The kids are really unhappy because we are living in the same neighborhood in Kashgar, and Uyghur kids are in boarding school. Chinese kids are staying at school. No, staying in their home. This kind of big difference made them angry. And then we have small protests erupted, the kids, the students in Urumqi, they started to wear their traditional luppa, Uyghur hat, because of school restricted their clothing. Not only restrict their language, they restrict their clothing also. Don't allow them to wear their own duppa. And then in Urumqi, all of the Uyghur students, high school students, they wear duppa one day. And then it accelerated another measure. And then in 2014, Xi Jinping started his war against terrorism. It means the war against Uyghur. And then mass arrest started, and then that millions of people arrested. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What is the reaction of other Turkic-speaking countries? I'm thinking in particular of those in Central Asia with which China is trying to develop strong economic ties.
Thank you. Turkey sometimes mention the topic in the United Nations. They mention sometimes. But those Central Asian Turkic republics, they always stand on Chinese side. When the United Nations Human Rights Council, they want, some countries in, for example, Norway or England, Britain, they want to mention Uyghur at the Human Rights Council. Always, those Turkic countries, they always stand on Chinese side. Now, in the United Nations, the countries who stand the right side, they are very about 50 at most, but most of the countries stand on the Chinese regime. So until now, United Nations issued a report about human rights violation in Uyghur homeland, but they don't discuss Uyghur issue in the United Nations. Because of those countries stand with China, they whitewash Chinese policy. That's really sad. Another part that those Turkic nations in Central Asia and Turkey, they deport Uyghurs to China. Only Turkey, from 2001 to 2020, they deported 399 Uyghurs to China. So it's really bad. So people are not hopeful because of, naturally people feel that those Turkic countries to stand with their Turkic brothers and sisters, but in reality it's not. Actually, not only Uyghur being persecuted, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, other Turkic ethnic group also being persecuted. Like the boarding school, not only for Uyghur kids, it's also for Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and other kids. Like in concentration camp, there are 457 Turkish citizens, but Turkey did nothing. Yes, they saved 4 Uyghur kids because of they are Turkish citizens. That's why I met them. That's why we mentioned how brutal boarding school is. But it's hard, yeah.
You mentioned the Uyghur schools, the language schools for children in diaspora communities. Can you tell us more about those, how they're going, what kind of challenges they're facing, how effective it is now for kids being able to maintain their language in the U.S. and Europe and other places, and what's going on there?
Thank you. Yeah, I and my another friend, Robert Wilson, we conducted a study in last year. We visited 3 different continents, like Europe and Australia and the America. And we visited 3 main schools in Washington and in Adelaide and also in Germany, Munich. The hopeful part, I found that in Adelaide, the school is really successful. I thought the reason is there is a Uyghur community exist. You can use that language in that community. They have their community center, they have their neighborhood, and they have their school, they have their mosque. And another very hopeful part is, first generation who born in Australia now become mother language teacher, Uyghur teacher. They born in and raised in Australia, and they speak the language, and they became Uyghur language teacher. It's it made me really hopeful. Yeah, actually, it's doable. And then their kids, third generation, are going to Uyghur school. The same school their parents used to went. The school built 1990s. They experienced already almost 40 years. And it is a good example. And then other schools in Germany, we have about 90 students at the time when we visited. And in the school in Washington, D.C., we have about 120. And the main problem, main challenge now that we need professional teachers. Because some of them, they are using their method that they used in Uyghur homeland. It's not right, because the kids grow up in the U.S., they speak, they are heritage language speaker or second language speaker, second language learner, heritage language learner or second language learner. If you use your teaching method you have learned in China, it doesn't work. This is the first problem. The second problem, we don't have good teaching materials. We lack of materials. And we lack of books. Like in In China, after kids learn to read and write, they have a lot of books in Uyghur they can read. They have cartoon in Uyghur, and they have like a kids program in different cities. And we have kids amusement park in different cities. But in diaspora, even you learned to read and write, there is no enough book to read. There is no enough material to teach them to improve their Uyghur to second step. The second one is like the material. And third one, the parents. Because of the parents, especially after 2022, Chinese government encouraged Uyghur community, Uyghurs in diaspora to visit China. Welcome, come to China and tell Yiwang Xinjiang Gushi. It means that like 10,000 Xinjiang story. They want them to participate 10,000 positive Uyghur story to the world. And they invite Uyghurs to visit and to be an actor, to tell, no, nothing happened. Like everything is fine, and people are having fun, and they are enjoying their culture. So this phenomenon, some people visited, some people already convinced to visit, and because of that, we have very few students. Now, we have very few. Like in last year, when we visit Uyghur school in Washington, D.C., they have 127 students. But recently I called them, they said they have about 60 more. And in Adelaide, Australia, also the same. Students become less and less. And in Europe, also, it's the same. Because of people afraid that if they send their kids to Uyghur school, and then their family members will be persecuted, or they will not visit their family, or their family will be like in trouble at the end. So we have 3 obstacles, 3 problems. But I think I'm hopeful because we can do it online. We can do it online. Like if we do it online and people don't see each other, they don't know which one send their kids to Uyghur school. All kids at home, and at the same time, they learn Uyghur from online. And if we make Uyghur playable, if we create more language games, if we create more Uyghur contents, cartoons, something like that, and I'm hopeful it will do doable. I don't believe something we can't do. But I want someone to do it, to work, to insist, to fight. Thank you. Hi.
Can you talk about changes that you've seen in the Uyghur language, for better or worse? I'm thinking about the fact that a child born in 2009 is now 15
Yes.
years old. And they have lived in this post-communal speaking world. How has that generational change, or do you see a generational change in the way that young people are using language? Are there gaps when they're communicating with their family members?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, I forgot to mention that, one is, let me tell the general that how Uyghur language changed. Because, like, the language in, people still use the language in social media, like Douyin, Chinese TikTok, but they don't use some words. For example, liberty, Uyghur. They don't use Uyghur. They said we. They don't use China. They use motherland. They don't use Chinese language. They use our language. It means Chinese. And they don't use Uyghur history, because they are very sensitive words, history and something like that. And they don't use Assalamu alaikum, the Muslim greetings. They use Yakhshimsiz, how are you? Very short one. And and also, like, they use a lot of code switching. They put a lot of Chinese to feel safe. Like, it's a self-surveillance. They feel that if you use a lot of Chinese in their language, they are safe, because they all feel that somebody is listening to them. So, like, this code switching is really popular now. Like, especially they put a lot of Chinese sentences. Like, before, when I was in 2015, I know people put Chinese words in their language. Now, they use entire sentences, not the words. They use sentences in their language. And about this the kids born after 2009, it's interesting. They use it's from I observe from social media. I can't say all. They use Chinese, but it's interesting. They use some Uyghur. For example, there is a singer. Now he is really popular. He sang Chinese song, but he used one word, onam. It means mother in Uyghur. He used frequently. I think it's because of people love it. People love to hear some Uyghur words in Chinese song. And he used that. And another that they use some words in Uyghur, especially hope you to do something, like the hope, the prayer in their heart. They use Uyghur. You use very short Uyghur sentences. Entire conversation is in Chinese, but they use very short sentences about feeling, about praying or something like that. They use Uyghur words and some sentences. And another that they are creating very beautiful songs. Yeah, very beautiful music about separation. Yeah, very beautiful songs about separation, like where's my mother, because their mother, their parents arrested, and they grew up in boarding school, and they created very beautiful song about missing, about longing, and about separation. And it's heartbreaking if you listen to it, but at the same time, I feel hopeful, because they are not only missing their parents, they are missing their culture. They are longing their culture. So I feel hopeful, and yeah, thank you.
Again for your presentation and for sharing with us your experience.
Thank you.
I would like to discuss the thing that you have mentioned to us, your connection with American institutions that have resulted in the tribulations that you have gone through. This kind of reminds me of the situation that is going on within Vietnam as well, where a lot of scholars, a lot of students who received sort of training in the U.S. or received fellowships maybe from the Fulbright. And a lot of them are being marked or labeled as, the spies or the people who bring this sort of dangerous mindset that will create political turmoil within the country. So from your experience or from your perspective, would you say future scholars who study about Uyghur or Uyghur scholars like yourself, is it a good idea to affiliate yourself with Western institutes for support or anything in that sense?
Yes, you are right. It's better because it's good stage. Because you should have some title to talk about it. It's really important. And then you can't fight alone. You should support. And third, that you should have your team to work with you. I have a very beautiful story. In 2008, one PhD student, he came to Urumqi to study Uyghur. At that time, I was a teacher at the university. I was teaching Uyghur to foreign students. And we started our journey. He learned Uyghur, and he wrote his dissertation about Uyghur language, about like bilingual education. And then after I got arrested in 2013, he advocated about me. He is the one who asked SLA to fight for me. And then he wrote a report about Uyghur language, linguistics rights violation. And now we are working really good, very well, very closely. And we invited Katie and Mike to participate in our symposium. And we gathered Uyghur mother language teachers around the world and they trained them. It's a beautiful story because they came and we worked together and we became friends and we still working on Uyghur language. So it's important. I hope we will do more. I hope other Uyghurs to work in academia, to send their kids to academia, and to be outspoken. I hope we have more and more people in the future.
We'll take one last question, and then we are all invited to continue the conversation over wine.
Can I? Hello, thank you for your work and resistance. I'm from Russia, and our government has the same policy towards indigenous peoples, including boarding schools with military classes in Siberia. And since 1918, any language of Russia besides Russian cannot be taught more than 1 hour a week. From 90 to 99% of members of the minority communities are totally loyal to the government, and it is throughout all the ages. They are totally indoctrinated, and right now indigenous adults are proud to die killing Ukrainians for the Putin's regime. So my question is how Uyghurs still manage to avoid Stockholm Syndrome and not love their abuser, if they do, and how there are still any Uyghur thinking about their sovereignty.
I'm sorry, I couldn't really get it. Could you repeat your question? Because I really wanted to answer your question, that's why. Yeah.
I have described the situation in Russia where indigenous peoples are being all indoctrinated. They are totally loyal to the government, to very abusive government.
You are talking about Ukraine, like Russian people in Ukraine, right?
No, I'm talking about Russia. I'm talking about indigenous peoples in Russia. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And indigenous people are a part of Putin's army to invade Ukraine.
Yes.
And all the policy around indigenous peoples in Russia is very abusive. And all the indigenous peoples, they are totally fine with this policy. They love the government. They are totally indoctrinated. So my question is, what is the difference with the Uyghur people and how Uyghur people still think about sovereignty and have still some resistance, and at least they do not love their abuser?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for mentioning that. Like, I forgot to mention, actually, I should. It's really sad. Like, as I told you, as I showed, this is the picture. The guards, they are Uyghurs. They are Uyghurs. They are educated. But they are gardening to their brothers and sisters in the camp. That's the sad part. And even like one of my friends, like the journalist, he went to Kashgar, my hometown. A Uyghur girl reported him, and he got arrested. He stayed in the custody for 20 hours. The Uyghur girl reported him, the American journalist. We can interpret, we can explain. Like, yes, because of the system, because of like the bonus, because of the promotion, but wrong is wrong. Whatever and whoever you are, what you are doing, what you have done is wrong. But the system put some people in that position and promoted. And I'm talking that like in the Uyghur region, there is a competition of being evil. Who is more evil? Who will be good, treated well, promoted? So there is a competition, not being human being, being evil every day. Because if you are a human being, you protect your family. But people send their kids to a re-education camp because of they found out their kids hide some Uyghur books at home. Some kids report their father because of he was young, his father taught him Uyghur. Yes. It is wrong. That's why I keep telling that I can forgive the people. Because if you put people in toilet, they have that dirty flavor. If you put people in the garden, they will have flowers flavor. How can we do? What can we do? They are in the toilet. That's why they have that bad flavor. If we save them from that dirty place to put them in clean, elegant, healthy place, maybe they will change their behavior. But it's really sad. Not only like the native, I know, like the war, the Kumyk and those like Chuvash and those indigenous people are fighting for Russia. I know that. They being captured, I know that. I can speak their language. Some of them are Turkic, they speak Turkic languages. Tatar, Chuvash, Bashkir, they speak Turkic languages. I know. I can understand what they are talking about. I have very strong emotion when they talk about like praise Putin and praise this invasion. But they are in wrong place at the wrong time. When we liberate the system, when we change the system, they will change their behavior. Thank you.